Hi, I'm Andrew Armstrong and welcome to the Back Office Teardown Lab. Have you seen one of these? Yes, it's a Nintendo Gamecube, but potentially not one of the ones you've normally seen. That's because these are Japanese Nintendo Gamecubes. Ooh, and look at this one. It's a little bit taller. That's because it has a Game Boy Advance adapter on the bottom. Now these Nintendo Gamecubes are part of a huge Japanese retro haul I got when I'm not going to say accidentally, I did it on purpose, but I ordered a bunch of stuff from I'm going to say Japanese Yahoo auctions, that's what they're called, and I ended up with loads of things, loads of N64s and PlayStations and Famicom. Just I forgot about it. It was too much, to be honest with you. It's too much stuff that just arrived in massive boxes, and I totally forgotten about because it, of course, takes months. Now I've tested these out. They do pretty much work, although you know there's a jammed button on this one, and they work, and I can test them because there were a couple of discs in there. There was some sort of horse game simulator. I don't really know what the horse game simulator is. This one on the left. And then Mario Party 4, which we all know. So the kids were playing Mario Party 4. Not too interested in Horse Game Simulator, but we could try that another time. So I feel that I want to get some use out of these, but of course they look like they could do with a little bit of work. And of course I'm not going to be able to run any of my software on them because of the Japanese region locking. It basically says when you put a card in, I say a card, a disc in, it says this disc's not recognised, etc. So there are mods available online, which I have ordered. So that'll be a future video, very shortly it will be happening, that future video, where I actually mod one of these and we're going to take out that region lock and give ourselves the ability to play homebrew and all those things that we want, which is great. But I thought because they're so crusty, look at this one, even this one's got like the door is so crustified, it's a different colour than everything else. But when you open it, it is the actual original colour. So yeah, I want to play with that, you see. I want to fix up all of the crustiness and maybe we might give this one a clean before we actually mod it. So I do have my Gamebit drivers and I'm hoping they will fit. Yeah, because I've never actually opened up a Gamecube. I found my original Gamecube that I bought in, I think it was around 2003, 2002, something like that, because I found a copy of Time Splitters 2, and that had the receipt in it. So that was pretty cool. So it aged it for me. And to be honest, my personal consoles and games that I use, they always look like new, like mint. And I do forget when you get these things that are second hand. Sometimes they're wrecked because they're, kids use them, right? The worst ones I've ever had though were Wii's. Oh my gosh, covered in stickers, sticky stuff in the drives. You've probably seen them on earlier videos, and some of those are the most popular videos for people trying to fix them because Wii's take a hell of a lot of abuse. I'm guessing Gamecubes probably would have, but I don't know if they really sold in the same sort of quantities as a Wii. Probably not. So that was 4 Gamebit screws, and look, the whole lid just pops off. Someone told me it is possible to actually play a regular CD in here if you don't have the lid, or if you 3D print yourself a different lid. So I can believe that now looking at this. A little bit dusty, a little bit crusty, but that's okay. We'll look at that momentarily though. I just want to focus on this slightly because we could see that the eject button wasn't working properly, and that's the button when you push here, and you can see that there's actually a spring there that's supposed to be spring loaded, and the spring loading isn't working. So let's just check that out real quick, because you can see that this part here is supposed to move like that. The spring is pushing against the side of the case, so it kind of should work. It all feels like potentially it should, but it's not. The button seems to be being kept wedged down. So let's see if we can release that button. 2 clips. I'm going to do the front clip, back clip. This might be a real easy fix. And that's great because all of these have this same issue. I'm just going to pop that button out. Wow, there's not even a spring in the button. So the button force, the force required to push the button out is being exacted from this same spring. So you can see that's doing double duty for moving this clip and forcing that button. So basically, if this button has any additional friction that really ought not to be there, like dirt, we'll get our little brush. We've got some contact cleaner might do the trick. Or it might melt the case, one or the other. I've got plenty to play with now. I counted 6 GameCubes. That's how many are sitting with me right now. 6. So we can afford to experiment on this one, which is clearly the most scuzzy one. I might try painting it. Not proper painting it. I'm talking just rattle can painting it with paint I found that I've bought from Poundland, stuff like that. So now that is a little bit clearer. Let's see if that has fixed it. If not, we'll go to the next step and tension that spring. Ha! Okay, that was an easy fix, wasn't it? Great. Although, you know, it's still slightly damp in there. It might be self-lubricating. I suspect also if you just loosen both screws, like there, 1/8 of a turn, that'll probably do the same. Good. Right. Well done me. Next. Oh. Sorry, I just got, ooh, oh, what's that? But that's the spring there that takes the door. So if the door doesn't open, get in there and clean that thing out. Right. Now, something I've noticed that's a bit of a theme of a lot of consoles is the battery here with the controllers. And that's the same setup as the Dreamcast. And, oh, something else I was in recently did the same thing. Escapes me what? I was going to say Super Nintendo, but that doesn't have the battery. So I guess we can just pop this thing out. So if you want to change the LED, easy fix there. So I might just do that for fun. We'll change that LED at some point. There's your switch. A little bit of corrosion on there though. I opened up an N64 recently and that had similar. Oh gosh, it's like a tower of power here. So the drive should just lift off if it's a bit Dreamcasty. Yeah, nope. Didn't want to do that. What's this at the back? We've got some other things here at the back. What are they for? They must align with that CD door so it knows when the CD door's open. And then there's some plastics at the back. Ah, good. Right, now we're getting somewhere. You can pop that off, but look, it's all in its own metal tin. Not so obvious. They really fit a lot in this tiny box. I have to admit, first time I saw Gamecube, I was visiting someone's house, a friend of the family, and their kids were playing, I think it was Sonic Adventure or something. And I was just like blown away. I was like, what the hell is that? I've just like never seen a Gamecube before. And it was just phenomenal what you could do in such a little box. So that's easy to clean. Look, dust those out. If your fan that stops working, you can just replace that. It's all standard stuff. Look, it's even got a little ribbon to the little cable to the PCB that you can easily wallop out. Right, the drive. That's the thing I'm really interested in releasing, because until that's off, I think everything is going to be trapped. So I'm gently trying to prise things. That's not happening. I can see lots of lugs here that look like they could be screw lugs, but when you look from the top, they're not. And I'm pretty sure they're not heat bonded in. So something has to give. I feel it probably still has a good chance of being this. Now let's lever it up with something. Bit of a screwdriver. And we're going to do the levering it, but not destroying it. So there's a ribbon cable just that side. So there's a ribbon cable that side too. Yeah. So whichever side you're going to do this on, it's fraught with dangers. Naturally, no sooner had I turned the camera off than I noticed there's some features here that are actually keeping this locked in. So you can see right there's one interlock, one in there, and one in there. So you're never going to lift that out unless they're loose. But still, beware, there are those ribbon cables. So I'm just going to release it, but not yoink it out just yet. Let's just take it this far. So now it's floating. Let's look. Yeah. So that rear ribbon, I can pop it out, but I don't want to just yet. This ribbon, yeah. So both are pop outable. So I would start with this one if you're gonna go for one. And I'm gonna find some tweezers. So I don't really want to ruin it. Yeah, it's so easily ruined. That is tricky to get out. That is tricky, even with tweezers. I can feel it. You're stressing it in ways it doesn't want to go. It's probably easier to put something in each side like that, yeah, and let's gently pull from both sides at once. Yeah, that's it. That's the trick. Do it that way. Do it that way. And there's a motor wire as well. See that wire there, that motor wire. This is definitely not the way to do this. This whole thing is going to come off. I know it. I can feel it. I feel it in me waters. I feel it in me waters. In fact, let's just leave it right there. Let's just get rid of these last few screws. It just feels to me like it's going to go with the rest. I can't believe in a factory they would assemble that separately because it's so fiddly. It doesn't make sense. That whole plastic piece would be a whole sub-unit itself, sub-assembly. So let's get that going. Just another 3 screws and we're out. We'll be in. I say 3 screws. And then I look over to the right. Another 3 beyond that. Another 3 beyond that. This is where you'd have a jump cut on a more caring channel that cares about your time. But we're doing this together. We're in it together, guys. Got my magnet. Handy little things. I might clear up the floor in here today. I don't know if you've ever had to just decide and go, yeah, you know what, I'm going to hoover it in here. There's a point where every time you drop something it becomes lost. You just give up. You know it's never going to be found. I've reached that point and that's the time that says it's time to clean. Right, so I'm massaging it. What you telling me? What you telling me? What is it, Skip? I feel it's telling me those joystick screws have to come off. That's my gut feeling. Yet more screws. This is a lot of screws. You really want to get in here. And I feel my painting project really has to happen at this point because I'm not going to want to repeat this exercise, that's for sure. These are long, thin screws. I feel like maybe 2.5 mil. Lots of shielding. Right. Yes. What? My word, that is entirely its own module. Look, it connects in like that. That is very like the Dreamcast. Wow. If you've ever played with a Dreamcast, you'll recognise that setup instantly. It feels really similar. It makes you wish that someone did a drive replacement mod for these like a Dreamcast as well, but that's fine. So that means probably that you'll always need a working drive. Even if you use those homebrew kits, you still need something. Anyway, that's good. That's done. We'll put that aside. Okay, so these have the ATI chipset. They emblazoned it here on the front. Graphics by ATI. And if I'm painting that, I think that's going to go. I think it's got to go. Don't know if you can get reproduction ones. Now, it's surprisingly dust-free in here. You've got a little crystal here. Wow, you don't see a little crystal normally in that format can inside a fancy console. I think I'm going to have to undo even more screws to get this out. The heat sink skunk screws have been removed. And that does seem to have done the trick. Whew. Ooh, and there's another layer of goodness under that. Let's feast our eyes on this board. Wow. I love the use of these edge connectors. Look at that. I don't know, are they edge connectors? They are perpendicular edge connectors, because this would be a traditional kind of edge-ish edge, but these are the same things but perpendicular to the face of the board. So pretty exciting, pretty interesting. Not much to see though. I suspect all of the really exciting stuff is under that heat. Ooh, okay, it was under that heatsink which I've just removed, and plenty of thermal paste there, and I'm not really fancying the idea of doing anything with this other than maybe giving a little bit more on when I'm done. Oh, but it's coming off. Hang on, let's peel it off. It's playing. Ah, there we go. The ATI Flipper. They call him Flipper. Flipper the old dolphin, eh? I'm just laying that down. Back there. Don't want it to go astray, do we? Oh, and there's your IBM. Wow. So is this a Power PC effectively? It may well have been. So you've got the ATI chip here. Focus. And there's the IBM. I'm going to zoom in on those chips because I know some of you guys are really into chips. So there you go. Look, Flipper 2000, Nintendo, NEC, and then IBM. Ooh, Big Blue. Big Blue before it went totally tits up. Okay, let's pop that aside. We're going now, one more level deep. This is like that movie. We were talking about that recently in a stream, I think. The movie where there's a bacteria. It's very topical. There's a bacteria and it's coming from space. I think it's the Andromeda strain. And they keep going deeper, deeper underground, trying to constrain it. Level 1, level 2. Level 3. I don't know how many levels they are. I think they're like 7 or something. We've got a couple here. We're going to go down. I'm going deeper underground. Do. There's too much stuff in this Nintendo. What's this? What is this? This looks suspiciously like some sort of power supply, but... Oh, okay. This is most intriguing. This certainly is some sort of power supply board, and this is that feed that goes off to the fan, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. So, wow, look at the gauge of that damn wire. That's like... That is like... That's like punching it in your face. So that gauge of the wire, that means all of the current is probably going through this switch. But at the same time, it feels to me that that's the power coming in, of course. That the power's coming in. That's the power going to everything else. But this switch is interesting because it's obviously operating the fan, which means that that switch has two, is it double throw? I do forget those things, but that's got 2 sets of contacts. I think actually it's putting the power through to the main board and putting the power through the fan. And I don't think the power goes to the main board on all the time. I think it is being done by the switch because it's only 2 wires. There's no other way it could do it. So that is fascinating. Fascinating, Mr. Data. Also, a lot of digging. If you need to change your power supply, it's a lot of digging to do. So let's do the last set now. We're going to do, pretending we're going to paint this. Rather than me just slinging it all in a box of bits going, I can't be bothered, like my TI-99s. So these are the anchor points, which I think are used by that Game Boy accessory that we saw. And then we're going to take these last 4 little screws out. And hopefully won't lose those. I don't know if you ever find this, you sometimes just take everything apart and then it's a real mind bender to try to put everything back. You've got to kind of do it almost that same day. Well, I've got to almost do it that same day, otherwise I will start to forget. It'll be all other stuff to deal with coming, and then I'll forget how you did it. That pops in like that, and look, boom. Boom shakalak. That's a heavy old boy there. Heavy old boy. Quality. I mean, this is actually all pretty quality build. I will not... I definitely would not criticise Nintendo for not making a quality product. So three anchor points there on the bottom. No, that's looking like the proper colour as well, isn't it? The actual proper colour. Look at that door. It looks like you swapped it off from one of the black ones, but even then it wasn't great. And look, our switch jammed up again. I think this is the perfect opportunity. I know you've hung in here for quite a while with me, and you want to go off. Maybe have your Easter egg or something, depending on what time of year you're watching this, of course. I'm just going to have the quickest of looks. Now, you've got 2 schools of thought here. Either you're going to apply some lubrication here, which is a plastic on plastic lube, which is tricky, or you're going to take this whole assembly out and bend up that spring. Give that spring another bend to get it better. I'm going to go school of thought of bending the spring. It's in here. God, my camera has been very uncooperative today. I think it could be something to do with the materials. Nintendo used stealth materials in this design. I think if you were going to paint all this, by the way, you'd have to really go this far in it. There's another part I want to see actually while we're here as well, from a painting standpoint. Whoa! Now that felt like it had a lot of tension in it, really. But there you go, that's the spring. Okay. You're focusing on the wrong thing, you bloody camera. Right, there's the spring, right? And you can see it's at, what, 1 o'clock? I'm going to manhandle it. And to do that, I'm going to get 8 pliers here. This is where I do something I really regret. So it was at 1 o'clock before. Now it's at almost 3 o'clock, I want to say. So we've definitely, bloody camera, we've definitely added tension to it. And oh, I know why, it's got a weird focusing mode set. Yeah, okay, great. Now let's just pop that back in with my newly bent spring. Again, yes, because this would be all again made for somebody to have to make by hand. At least Nintendo made it so it was relatively easy to do. Now you could see there I give it a little squiz. I'm just squizzing it because it's just in case there's any dust. I didn't see any dust in there. And looking at these screws, it doesn't look like you can overbind them. They don't look, maybe apart from this one, they don't look like they need a wash or anything. The plastic posts are designed. Let's stop them biting too hard. Oh! Give it some of that. See it sticking? It's the button itself. If you're doing any kind of case mod, case painting, you're going to really need to take care of that button. I wonder if you really want to do a good job of that, I think you could put something under that button just to give it a bit of spring. Let's just do one last experiment while we're all on the subject of this button. I think my experiment will go... What the heck was that? Will be to see if I can actuate this whole mechanism without the button. And then that will let me know if it's the button that's doing it. So I'm going to try with the old tweezers. Absolutely fine. That's fine every time. And I'm looking inside this buttonhole area. You can see, if the camera will cooperate, it does look like there's a bit gunky in there. Maybe it just needs a darn good polishing and then to buff this all out. But I think there could be. It doesn't look like there is, but you could maybe potentially have wear on this tooth. Giving you some grief. Griefer. It's a griefer. Now, let's have a look at this panel. This is the last thing I'm going to do today, because you've bared with me enough, and actually it was a very easy thing to do. Look at that. You can whip that out nice and easy. And it does actually say, look, hidden. Nintendo Gamecube, and it's got divots here. Oh my word. Look at that. Is that a thing to ensure the right GameCube logo, only the right GameCube logo will fit in the right spot? Do you see that right there? That's something very peculiar. It reminds me of the Famicom discs. That is definitely like the Famicom discs, where it's got these... They've probably patented this. It's probably got some crazy patent on it. I'm just going to hold it up to the light. I just want to see... No, light doesn't shine through this, but you could. It is a thick piece of perspex, basically. You could potentially illuminate this with a little bit of effort. You definitely have place to run your cables. So there are a whole raft of potential mods. That is just, I'm really wondering. I'm not going to modify this right now, but just let me know. This colouring is so difficult. Yeah, it would be difficult to do and different. I'm in danger of painting something and then you're going to say, no, that's the Final Fantasy VIII Square Enix Special Edition colour that they only had in Japan. And you've ruined it. Whereas if you cleaned it up, you could have sold it for £2 grand. So yeah, let me know if that's the case. I suspect it's not. And yeah, in the next video, I'll probably either have by the next video, or in the next video, we could clean this all out, get it down even to more base parts, and maybe just have a go of blowing over the outside with some paint. So there you go. Hopefully this selection of crap has interested you, and yeah, let me know down below any ideas you think for colour schemes and stuff like that. I have probably a tin of silver, maybe a tin of gold, so that's probably what I got during the coronavirus quarantine, so we might be limited in what we're going to paint it with colour wise, but we could just give it a go. And if we do paint it, do you think we should paint everything or just like the top bit? And if we're going to paint everything, what do we do with the labels? Cover those over, peel them off, or just ignore them? Hope this has been of some interest to you. Please join me on Discord. If you feel like getting me a coffee, give it a jump on Patreon or buy something from my shop as ever. Thanks for watching.